That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. It's Friday afternoon. It is Friday, October the 22nd, 2021, 1:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And, Halloween again? Yes, it's Halloween again. Listen, if there's a time of year where you should be talking about Halloween, if there is a month where you should be milking Halloween for all it's worth, milking the udder until there's no more milk left, that is October. And of course, you know, October is Halloween month for us Halloween fans anyway, obviously. But it's a little more special when there is a Halloween movie that comes out, right? I mean, for the horror channels and for the Halloween channels, you know, every October is always a big month because it's Halloween and Michael Myers and all that kind of crazy stuff. But it's a little extra special when you can tack on an official Halloween movie in there too, which doesn't happen very often either. So, yes, we are going to milk this thing until it's nobody's business. If you don't like it, don't tune in. It's nobody's got a nobody's. This is not a Clockwork Orange. We're not taping back your eyelids and no. We should start doing that though. I think that would be funny. So on today's show, I wanted to kind of see how you guys are doing, how you feeling. You know, it's we're moving into our second weekend here with Halloween Kills. I'm very fascinated, very interested in seeing what the drop is going to be this weekend. Made $50.3 or $4 million last weekend. Generally speaking, studios like to see if you can, most movies make most of their money opening weekend, and then there's a, hopefully a slow decline over the coming weeks. However, there have been many cases throughout the industry where, you peak too soon, perhaps, or there's a lot of hype around something, but then the film doesn't end up being that good, or it ends up being a little divisive, and you see quite a percentage drop over the next week. Generally speaking, studios might want to see no more than 35% drop. That's pretty good. That's actually really good. But if you start getting into like a 75% drop, no! Of course, it all depends on what your budget is and what your expectations are. But certainly if Halloween, for example, if Halloween Kills makes, $15 million, I think it's going to make a little more than that, because Halloween is still around the corner. Next weekend is Halloween weekend, of course. So, but yeah, we don't want to see that, or they don't want to see that. I mean, I have no dog in this fight. I couldn't care less. I have no stock. I have no shares. I didn't make a outrageous bet with somebody, so really I couldn't care less. But Halloween ends. Halloween ends. What do I want to see? What do you want to see from Halloween Ends? If you are watching me live, if you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know what you want to see. What do you want from Halloween Ends? Now, people have said to me, Dave, you should do a sequel concept. You should do like what you did with Halloween Kills. It's like, no, hang on a sec. I didn't do it with Halloween Kills. My sequel concept video was before they even announced there was a movie called Halloween Kills. Just saying. But seriously, that is true. So people have often said, Dave, you talk about your version of Halloween Kills. Well, I kind of did. I mean, it's called The Shape. It's the sequel concept idea video on my channel. Check it out. It's 2 hours long. I go through it. That's my idea for a sequel. But my idea was to end it in that movie. I didn't leave it open. I didn't want to have another film. I just want it left open. So having said that, people have asked me, what do you want to see from Halloween Ends? What do you want from Halloween Ends? Oh yes, Chris Parrish. Yeah, for those of you that might be new, feel free to send in your super chats now if you have any. At the end of my verbal diarrhea stuff, I will start from the beginning and get to them. So even if you send it in now and it goes by, you're not missed. I go back into the thing and I look at it and I go through it. Okay, so just letting you know, you can send them in whenever you want. So with Halloween Ends, there's a few things we already know. So there's a few things that we know from the horse's mouth. We know from David Gordon Green that this is going to be a smaller film, a smaller picture in terms of its scale and its size. It's going to be more intimate. That's not from me, that's from him. Now, there's a variety of things that could mean, but in terms of Halloween Kills being very sort of, there's a lot going on. Some things they did well, some things I didn't think they did very well. You know my thoughts on it. I've talked about it on this channel already. Halloween Kills is sort of, it starts strong and then it just kind of descends from there. But in terms of what they were trying to do in the movie, with everything going on at the hospital and everything going on with Michael Myers and all the social commentary and the this and the that, yeah, it was a big movie for them. And I don't know. I think the budget was 20 million something. I think their shooting schedule was maybe 4 to 6 weeks. That's a lot of fucking shit to shoot in 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe it was 2 months. Maybe it was 8 weeks. But still, there's a lot going on there, right? So Halloween Ends, we know, is going to be smaller, maybe a little more like Halloween 18. And here's the thing, although I'm not a big fan of either movie really at the end of the day, although I am coming to appreciate 18 a lot more since Kills. And again, I don't think Kills is all bad. It's not. It's just that middle chunk with the hospital that's just, man, in my opinion, completely missed the mark. The pacing's off, the structure's off, the everything's just, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's weird. Myers looks great, music is great, all that kind of stuff. The kills are great. There's a few moments of real kind of cool suspense. Few. But 18's a better movie. Structurally, it's a better movie. The pacing is better, So I think they're going to go back to more of that feel, that smaller kind of feel to 18, which I'm down for. If they can make a movie that, and I'll be honest with you, it's just where my expectations are. I'm a realist when it comes to this kind of thing. I'm not overhyped for Ends. I wasn't overhyped for Kills. I was very hyped for 18. I was very hyped for 18 because it was the first Halloween movie we had in nearly a decade. However, it was the first Halloween movie, John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, The Original Intent, Nick Castle with a cameo and all this. It was crazy, and if you follow me for any length of time, you know that. It was absolutely insane. But if they can make a movie like H18 where it's consistent, you know what I mean? And there's some good stuff in there and the pacing is not wonky and the writing is not like, what is going on here? Then I think it's a win. I don't think they don't have to create a movie that is head and shoulders the greatest Halloween film you've ever seen. They don't have to do that. They don't have to do it. And for the love of cake, please don't attempt to try and do that unless you have something great. I've seen no evidence so far to suggest that that's what they're going to do. But you don't have to do that. You just have to deliver at this point in the game, you have to deliver a good film. A good film. Like 18 was. 18 was a good movie. I just didn't think it was a very good Halloween movie. But not in terms of the mythology and all that, but in terms of some of the aesthetic and some of the lighting choices and some of the character choices and things like that. That's what I mean by that. But it was a well competently made film. And that's all they have to do, really, at this point in the game. And for a third movie, we all know how this goes. We all know how this... And maybe it'll be great. Maybe this will be the greatest Halloween movie that's ever been created, right? We don't know. Who knows? But my expectations are this doesn't have to be great because Halloween Kills was so divisive. It doesn't have to be that way. It just has to be good. It just has to be as good as 18, And I don't think that's a high bar. I think that's achievable. I absolutely do. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't reach for the stars if you can, or if you got a really great script and really cool ideas that you shouldn't reach for. Absolutely, 100%. I'm just saying that that's where my expectation is. So I'm not expecting, because Halloween Kills is proving to be a bit divisive amongst fans and the broader horror community, that somehow, they need to fucking just, belt this 500 feet out of the park or something. It doesn't need to be that. Please don't do that. Just make a good movie. That's it. So it's hard for me to kind of, what do I want to see? Well, it's hard to approach this question from a story perspective because Halloween Kills ends on such for me, sort of an unsatisfying note. Now, there's a reason the ending was changed. The ending that many of the test screenings showed over, about a year and a half or so ago, almost 2 years ago. The ending was a bit different. Not drastically different. I mean, it's not like it was a completely different ending, but in terms of sort of the details, it was very different. So I'm going to paraphrase all this, but to my understanding, the original ending that they were going to go with was Michael kills Karen. And if you haven't watched the movie yet and you're watching me talk about this, and I just spoiled that for you, that's on you, dude. That's on you. What the hell are you watching me for? Go watch the movie. So Halloween, Michael kills Karen. But I believe what ends up happening is that from the hospital, Laurie is trying to call Karen and her cell phone rings. Or who knows, right? And Michael sees that, I think, as she's lying on the floor, something to this effect, picks it up and puts the phone to his ear, right? And Laurie's at the hospital calling Karen, and all Laurie hears is breathing, and she knows. Oh, she knows. And you know that shot in the trailer to Halloween Kills when Laurie is walking down the hallway like some badass? You know what I mean? That was the shot that it was going to end on. I think, anyway, stand to be corrected, but something like that. And the camera was going to tilt down and show the knife in her hand and sort of end on the knife the same ways that it ended on the knife in Halloween 18. It's like, all right, that's it. Fucking she knows. She's like, oh my God, Karen, my daughter, oh my God, right? Now, because we don't know what they're going to do with ends, and we don't know what the original idea was for ends, to the average person, to us, it's kind of like, well, why couldn't you have just ended it that way? Like, I don't understand why you couldn't have just ended it that way. So, we're playing Monday morning quarterback here in ways because it's kind of like, well, we don't have access to what the idea is. David Gordon Green and company felt that with a year's time, they decided to change it up a bit because this new idea that they're going to have with Kills, because originally Halloween Ends was going to take place on the same night. That was the original plan. 18 Kills and Ends were going to be the same night. They've changed that. Now, David Gordon Green has also said on the record, I'm paraphrasing, but he said that it takes place in a post-pandemic world or a COVID world. Now, I know some of you out there might be thinking, oh, fuck. Now, hang on. That doesn't mean that you're going to be seeing people running around with masks on and hand sanitizing and getting, their vaccines. Although, who the hell knows? I have no idea what the hell they've written. But certainly, I imagine that they want to capitalize on more social commentary. And again, horror movies having social commentaries, I've said many times, is nothing new. It's been around for decades. It's just whether or not it is subtext or it's overt. The social commentary in Halloween, in this new Halloween sort of timeline, is becoming quite overt. And I just don't think it's working necessarily. It feels a little too on the nose in some regards. But anyway, that's me. So we know that it's taking place 4 years later. It's taking place in current time when the movie comes out, okay? When the movie comes out. It comes out in 2022. So I assume that's when the movie's going to take place. Now, what that all means, I don't know. I don't know what it means. Now, of course, there's people out there that take that and connect their own dots and go, so it's going to be COVID. It's going to be a and the people that are doing that are watching me right now are offended. Oh, fuck this loser, pretentious piece of shit. But that happens, right? I don't know what that means. But obviously, they want to capitalize on something because they changed the ending. And they changed it after it was locked. So, I mean, not locked, but after they were certain that they were probably going to go with this. So it's kind of hard to figure out, what are they going to do? Like, what is... some people have said that my Halloween sequel concept idea has a lot of parallels to what we saw in Halloween Kills. And some people have asked me, it's kind of funny, have asked me, do you think they took your ideas? It's like, no, not at all. I even said at the beginning of that video, I said any parallels or similarities are purely coincidental. No, I don't believe that at all, because when you understand the Halloween franchise and you understand, and I don't say this in a pretentious way, sincerely, I don't. When you understand the business and you understand storytelling and you understand, acts and the 3-act play and sort of you look at how a film ends and you can make educated, informed guesses, predictions, not just pulling it out of your ass, but informed predictions, right? I'm not the only one that can do this, obviously. I'm sure you could do it too if you know your shit, right? And then, you naturally will have certain things that you think should be done that they end up doing because they're thinking the same thing, right? So, I had the Myers house in mind, and I had Judith's bedroom in mind as a big thing. And so there were a few similarities there, and certain characters I brought back and certain characters' deaths and things like that. But all that being said, it's difficult to know what they're going to do because of how Kills ends. And it's like, where do you go from here? Where does Michael go? Does he just walk off into the ether? I mean, you're doing a 4-year time jump. So either the movie's going to pick up immediately where the last one left off and Kills, and we're going to see some footage they've shot that we haven't seen yet, or they're going to shoot some footage for sort of the prologue, kind of like the recap. So Halloween Ends will begin with the ending of Kills, and maybe they haven't shot this yet. Maybe that's part of the shooting schedule for Ends, is we're going to take a day or two and we're going to shoot this as part of the beginning of Ends, which is the end of Kills, but it's going to help us lead into this a bit more. They could be doing that. But there's going to be a 4-year jump for sure. And I imagine what I want to see is I definitely want to see, and I know there are others out there that have said this, and I agree with them. I would like to see Andy Matichak's character step up. But then when you say that Halloween Ends is more self-contained and more intimate, what does that mean? I mean, hardly any kills? Is it a courtroom drama? Is it a horror drama? What does that mean? And that's, rhetorical. Because, I mean, it can mean a number of things, right? But that's what I think of. I think, okay, what does that mean? More like 18? Is it relative? Are there still going to be lots of kills and suspense and Michael and stalking and lurking and but just not in the ways of kills? Do you know what I mean? Because it's relative, right? Like in comparison to what? No, it's going to be much more intimate. I guess in comparison to kills. Okay, well then that means it could be like 18. But I would like to see her character step up. Now that Karen is dead, and I do believe she's dead, she better be dead. They better keep her dead, because it adds emotional weight and bottom to the rest of the story. Now that Laurie has lost her daughter, that makes things really interesting, and Karen's lost her mother. So that makes things really interesting now, right? So I like that. I want to see Hawkins have a bigger role. I think he's going to, by the way. I know there's speculation by what they've said that Hawkins might be the father of Karen, perhaps. I have a feeling they're probably going to do that because Darren Sands, one of our great moderators here, he brought it to my attention that Jamie Lee Curtis was speculating on that herself in a recent interview. Well, I don't think it's necessary. I guess maybe just to add more fuel for Hawkins. I think maybe when listen, if it serves the story, then great. And I can see that now that Karen is dead, Hawkins finds out that was Karen, that was his daughter. Now he's like, oh shit. Like he's even more angry. Now he just doesn't have the guilt, but he's got this he just murdered my daughter that I didn't even know was my daughter. How would you feel about that? Like the emotional weight there, how would you feel? There is no emotional connection to Karen because you don't know it's your daughter, but then all of a sudden you find out it is your daughter and you find out that Michael murdered her. It's like, I don't know what your emotional response would be. But then of course that means Allison is your granddaughter. So, I mean, I have a feeling, even though I don't think it's necessary, I have a feeling that, I could see them doing that. And I'm okay if they do that, because if there's one thing that Kills lacked, it was character development. And this is some character development, right? This is some good stuff. Can create drama, raise the stakes, make it much more interesting. And Will Patton is a terrific character actor. So anytime he is on screen in this series, please, yes, please, because he's one of the better actors in this series. So more Hawkins, please, because I think it just gives more credibility to your film. Not that everybody's bad. Especially Kills, there's some, in my opinion, questionable performances and really cringy dialogue and overselling of some shit. And if there's one person that oversold nothing, it was Hawkins. He's just, Patton is a terrific character actor. So more of him, please. I have a feeling that we're going to get more of him. But where is Michael gone is the question. And that's hard to say because we don't know. I don't want to see him captured. So that's something I don't want to see. I think to be captured, because he's either going to get captured again only to escape again, which is just ridiculous, or he's going to get captured again and then the entire movie, which might be interesting. I mean, it's all in the execution. He's captured again and he's put back into Smith's Grove or wherever, some new place, wherever, it doesn't matter. He's put back into some sort of, lockup. And then it proceeds from there. And maybe we get some kills with him, at the mental asylum, or it becomes this courtroom thing, or I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. If he is caught again, there's only one of two things that you can do. He's caught and he escapes again, or he's caught and he's kept there, and then you just roll with that. You figure out how to create a cool Halloween movie with him captured, which might be interesting. I mean, if somebody said to me, Dave, you're writing the next film, and the only stipulation from the studio is that he has to remain in, we don't want him to escape again because we've been there, done that, and we think fans are going to be like, you know what I mean? We got to keep him here. I'd be like, okay, that's a challenge. And I think that actually might be fun to tackle. But if he's not caught, so those are the two options if he's caught, right? He's caught and he escapes again, or he's caught and he doesn't escape again. Or I guess he's caught and he dies. I don't think they're going to do this, but he dies like while incarcerated, and then the rest of the movie becomes all about sort of the trauma and the town and the residual effects and how it affects people and things like that. I don't think they're going to go that deep. I mean, although I don't think they're going to. I think James Jude Courtney playing the Shape will be there till the very end, and what that end means, I don't know. But I mean, it's an option, right? Put it on the table. It's possible. I don't think it's probable, but it's definitely possible. However, if he's just walked off into the ether, then where has he been for 4 years? Do you need to explain that? Well, no, but 4 years is a long time. And there's certain things that I don't think need explaining about Michael Myers, but then there's certain things that you have to offer some sort of acceptable answer that may not be deep. It may still leave some questions for the audience, but it makes sense. And what they did in Halloween H2O is not the way to go. They never found his body. Okay, but why isn't he burned? Why can he see all of a sudden? Why does he have eyes? You know what I mean? All this crap, right? So I guess he could walk off into the ether, never to be seen in 4 years, and then all of a sudden he shows up. But why did he wait 4 years? I mean, where has he been? So I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the probability of him getting caught and thrown into back into the asylum again, wherever that is just as high as him walking off into the ether at this point in time, 50-50. That's why it made sense to me to have it happen all in one night. And again, that doesn't mean, yes, after midnight, I understand technically it's November 1st, but I think we all can agree that the vast majority of Halloween 2 from 1981 also happens after midnight on November 1st, right? And then it ends on, at sunrise. I think it's fair to say that even though after midnight, technically it's November 1st, it's still Halloween night. It's still the same night. And I always thought that Halloween Ends was going to end at sunrise on November the 1st. And I thought that was a great way to do it. I just hope, and listen, I'm ready to be proven wrong, but I don't believe, and this is just me, I don't believe they've done, in 18, they did a pretty good job. In 18, they did. But I don't believe they did a good enough job at spinning the social commentary that they tried to present to us in Halloween Kills. I don't think they did. I don't think they did a very good job. So it felt shoehorned in. It just didn't. The tone was off. 1 minute it's this kind of a horror movie. Next minute it's this kind of a horror movie, and then next minute it's this kind of. It just was tonally off, right? So I hope that they didn't change the direction of Halloween Ends to bring in all the shit that's going on in the world right now. The Capitol riots and the social commentary, because you see them trying to bring that in. And I'm just like, it's not that it can't work. I just feel, what did you have before? What you had before, was it better? Was it a better movie? Did it wrap things up better? Was it a better story? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is an improved version. But if there's notes where it's like, hey, we need to have this in there, we need to have this in there, I don't have the confidence that they're going to do a good enough job. If they had fucking knocked Kills out of the park with both sides of the coin, I'd be like, oh God, I can't wait to see this deeper kind of shit, right? Let's go. Let's fucking go. I just don't think they did a good enough job. It wasn't a strong enough film. It was strange. The choices, it was just, yeah. I don't think it was strong enough. I don't think it's strong enough to hunker down and now get even deeper with it, because now we're going to have a COVID pandemic world and we're going to have this. And again, I don't know what he means by that. It could mean a number of things, but that's what he said. So it's like, well, what does this mean? Like, are we going to, it's fucking Halloween, guys. It's Halloween. There's nothing. And as I said a few moments ago, social commentary's nothing new in horror films. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. But I just don't think how this new Halloween series, this new timeline, is doing a good enough job of it, in my opinion. You might completely disagree, and that's fair. The first film was fine. Second film feels, yeah, So, anyway, I know I'm going in a roundabout way here, but this is how I operate. So, definitely want to see Allison step up. More to do with her. I want to see more to do with her. I think she's probably one of the stronger characters, and I want to see more of her. I'll be honest with you, no disrespect to Judy Greer. It's not personal to her, but you could get rid of her character altogether from the get-go. You could get rid of her character from the get-go, and you could have just had Allison in H18 be living with Laurie Strode. You could have her living with her grandmother because Allison's mom passed away from cancer, or I don't know, whatever, right? You didn't need her. I think Allison's a better character. I think she's a more likable character. And I think you could have just had it like that, but they didn't. But that being said, I want to see more of Allison. I want to see more of Patton. And I want this movie, this is nothing new, and this goes back to my Halloween sequel concept idea video. I want to see, how do you end ends? How do you end ends, right? How do you end it? Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You've got to end it on a philosophical note, in my estimation. You have to end it in a way that satisfies the viewer, satisfies Halloween fans, but doesn't give the impression that Michael's going to be back next year. That doesn't mean you can't bring him back, okay? But you want to end on a philosophical note, something that is, that plants the seed of doubt in the audience's mind, but is not a cliche jump scare. Michael's eyes suddenly opening, him bursting out of the closet, nothing garbage like that. Nothing garbage like that. My sequel concept idea ended with Michael and Laurie both dying in a fire in the Myers house. The Myers house burns to the ground, and it's this whole symbolic thing. It was such a cool idea, I think. I mean, I'm a bit biased because it's my idea, but and then the movie ends with Tommy and Lindsay. Of course, Tommy's dead in this new thing. In my idea, it ended with Tommy and Lindsay looking at sort of the rubble of the foundation of where the Myers house used to be, and it's a cold kind of cloudy day, and maybe it's been like a month since it's happened or whatever, and they're in tears and they're looking at it, and because it's like, wow, it's over, and the wind is softly blowing and the leaves are blowing across the street and things like that. It's a cloudy day, and they end up walking down the street together, and we pull back like this drone shot or whatever, and then I pull something that technically isn't officially canon from the TV cut of Halloween 1, but we kind of put it in here to make it canon, which is that little bit where Dr. Loomis says, "You think you've fooled them, haven't you, Michael?" And then there's a dramatic pause, and then he says, "But not me." And it's not meant to be taken literally, like Dr. Loomis's ghost is standing there saying that, although I guess you could interpret it that way. But it's philosophical, right? It's cinematic language. It's symbolism. It's like, what does that mean? It could mean a number of things. Michael isn't dead and he's lying in the rubble and they haven't found him. I mean, that's not really my idea, but what I mean, I guess you can, if you want to think that. But it's more about the evil. Evil will go on. Evil will always live. You know what I mean? Or does it mean something? You end it in a way where it kind of, and then it cuts to black and the credits roll, and it's just like, for me, I would be satisfied. As a Halloween hardcore fan, as a purist, as I would feel satisfied with that. I don't want to jump scare. So I'm not saying they have to end it exactly like that. I'm just saying that something that is smart, something that is, because if if these movies are trying to be more than just a slasher, and this is what they're trying to do with all this social commentary and activism and trauma and all this kind of stuff, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, then you got to end it like a smart film. You have to end it like a smart movie. You can't end it like fucking Resurrection, Chicken fried, motherfucker. I mean, come on. Like, end it like it's fucking Seven, or it's not Seven, but I mean, like, end it maturely. End it smart. Be smart. My advice to the writers would be, think about this. End it on a philosophical note. End it on, a note that puts the question back into the audience's mind, brings it full circle. Let the credits roll, let the bum 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 play, and let people stew on that. And listen, if you want to make another sequel, go ahead, knock yourself, whatever. But end this story. I hope this is the ending of Halloween as we know it. I want Halloween to end. I want there to be a definitive end to this storyline connected to the 1978 original. That doesn't mean 5-10 years from now you can't reintroduce the Michael Myers story to a new generation. Sure, okay, but for me, I don't want to see Halloween ends and then Halloween begins again with Andy Matichak. I don't want to see that. I don't think these movies have been strong enough for that. I don't think the story is strong enough for that. I think you can end this story and bring the overall theme and the message and the morals that you've created here home in that film, and then let it go, and then move on to something else. Do a sequel to, we'll get to that in a second here, the future. But that's definitely what I want to see with this ending. Am I biased because that's how I ended my sequel concept idea? Sure, but that's how I would have ended it regardless of whether I had that or not. I definitely feels it needs I feel it needs to end that way because it's different. It's not the same old thing over again. It's more mature. It's smarter in my estimation. So I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's what I want to see them do. End on a smart note, a philosophical note that maybe has a question like that. It's like, oh, what does that mean? Cut to black. No. Dun, 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 dun. It's like, oh, that's so good. I love shit like that. It's smart writing. It's a smart way to do it. But that's all I have to say, because it's sort of hard to know, like, because Halloween Kills is so fresh, hasn't even been, well, it's been a week today. we're still in the process, at least I am. Maybe others can do it faster than me, but I'm still in that process of letting things marinate and trying to figure out what is Halloween Ends going to be, but I do know more Andy Matichak, more Will Patton, end it on a philosophical note that's mature and smart, that puts it back onto the viewer. Do not end on a jump scare. Do not end on his eyes opening or him popping out of a closet. Do not end on his mask suddenly lying there or him God, anyway, so I'm just thinking about all the other shitty sequels. Don't do that. So those three things I definitely know. Continue the amazing score from John Carpenter, Daniel Davies, and Cody Carpenter. That's definitely going to continue for sure. Continue that shit. Continue the tone in terms of aesthetic that you've created in Halloween Kills. I think I personally liked the aesthetic, the lighting choices better in Kills than I did in 18. So I would like to see them carry that through, but that all depends. That all depends on when this takes place or what it is, like what kind of a movie this is. I mean, will we see the Myers house in Ends? I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be. It's very difficult to pin down, primarily because of the way Halloween Kills ends. It's just kind of like, okay, well, now we're jumping 4 years later. That could mean anything. The movie could open, it could cut in, and we could see Allison sitting on her bed. It's 4 years later, and she's sitting there looking at a photo of her father and her mother. A photo of her father and her mother and her. And she's crying. There's a tear coming down her face, and she's looking at it, and it says 4 years later. And she's there. And now there's all this catch up that the film has to do. What's been happening the last 4 years, which is not difficult to do. You can do that in a few exposition scenes. That's not a big deal. Maybe she's in therapy. Maybe she's going to therapy. Maybe she's going to the very maybe herself. Maybe she's in the same asylum as Michael. I don't know. No, I don't think they'll do that. But maybe she's going to therapy, and maybe through a conversation between her and her therapist, we learn about what's been going on the last 4 years. Maybe Laurie is there too. Maybe Laurie's locked up. Maybe Laurie is locked up in the same asylum as Michael because she's fucking lost it. She's lost it. She's fucking lost it. She's lost all control. And after, Karen died, and all of a sudden, Laurie is just like, she's attacking people in the hospital. She's thrown down. She's put in a straitjacket. She's shipped off to Smith's Grove. I don't know. And maybe they're both in there. I don't know. Or how shitty would that be? Laurie's in there, but Michael's free. Oh, the irony of that. Man, that would suck. But just by spitballing here and shooting from the hip, you can see that there's so many different ways that you could approach this. There's so many different ways that you could approach this. We could cut in and it could be the ending of Halloween Kills. We could cut in and it's 4 years later. We could cut in and Laurie is there in a straitjacket, and she's in like a, 4x4 fucking padded room or whatever. And then somebody opens the door and the light shines on her and she's like this. And it's like, Miss Strode. And so you're able to come out now or whatever. And she's been in the hole for like, a month or something like that. You know what I mean? That's kind of fucking weird. Like, holy shit, what happened? That communicates to me that she's like lost it. She's absolutely lost all sense of reality and control. That's interesting. There's so many different ways that they could go. I just don't know. But definitely the music's got to be there for me. End on a philosophical note. Bring Andy Matichak up, bring Will Patton up, and if they are planning on connecting their dots as a family unit, then I have no doubt they're definitely going to do that for sure. More Lindsay, and I think we will see more Lindsay. I think we are going to see more Lindsay. I think it's been confirmed that David Gordon Green wants to bring her back. She did survive, so I think she's going to be back. She will probably fill the role of Karen. I don't mean becoming her daughter. I just mean in the sense of that void that is left by Karen not being there, Kyle Richards will probably fill and be that middle woman between Allison and Laurie, if you know what I mean. So definitely more Kyle Richards for sure. I actually think she was probably my favorite of the returning legacy characters, but that's probably because you gave her the most to do. And she had a moment with Michael that was, genuinely had some tension, had some suspense. Nothing crazy, but certainly had some. And I thought her performance was fine. The only thing that I didn't like, and this is not her, this is just in the writing again, was, go, get out of here now before he kills us all. Before he kills us all? It just sounds like, it sounds too, it's not conversational to me. It's just like, it just should have been, go, get out of here now before he kills us. Like you can just say that. You don't have to say kills us all. I know what you're trying to convey, and I know what you're trying to communicate by saying that. But you're standing in front of two little kids. You're not standing in front of a hospital of 500 people. Like I could see that if your audience that is in front of you is huge. You know what I mean? Huge. It's absolutely huge. I love Halloween Kills. My favorite movie. Melania loves it. But I don't think it was necessary to say. It just sounded awkward. It was an awkward line. It was like the line in, anyway, it just was. But her, I enjoyed her. I thought she was fine. So more of her, less of Barker, unless you're going to somehow have this complete 180 of Barker. Barker was a useless stooge in 18. He was a useless stooge in Halloween Kills, and I have no interest in seeing any more of him in H18. Oh, sorry, H18, in H-Eds. No interest. And that's not an attack on the actor. That's the character. I'd be saying the same thing if it was any other, and I have said the same thing. He's useless. I don't know how he became the sheriff of that town. He's a useless stooge. He's got no control over anybody. So I don't give a shit about him. Like it's kind of hard. Like there's so many different ways it could go. But those are some of the things that I want to see Halloween Ends do. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good movie. Doesn't mean it's going to satisfy me or you if those boxes are checked, because we don't know really what the story is yet. There's a few different directions that this story could go, and we don't know what they are yet. And it's kind of hard to pick at the moment because there's just, I don't know. I think we need more information before the speculation can be kind of fun. We need more information. I just hope they don't turn this into a COVID social commentary. I really don't. Listen, with all due respect, I'm COVID the fuck out. And it's so crazy that me just saying the word COVID right now will get this video demonetized. I'll have it will. I guarantee you it will, because I can't guarantee it, but it's happened in the past where I've said that word and I get demonetized because I've said the word. Like, it's crazy the world we're living in now. It's crazy. I'm not spreading misinformation. I just say the word. You know what I mean? It's insane right now. The last thing I want to do is go to the movie theater and watch a movie with social commentary about COVID. You know what I mean? I mean, Jesus, it's everywhere. I don't need to see this. I don't need it. However, it depends on what they're going to do, right? How are they going to weave it in there? What do you mean by that, David Gordon Green? What do you mean? What sort of things are you taking advantage of? What do you mean by that? There's so many different things it could mean. Naturally, people who are pissed off and upset and are tired of it will take that to mean, oh, so they're just gonna, but not necessarily. Even I acknowledge that. Okay, they could just want to strike on the themes and the fear and the misinformation again, what they want to do, and I don't know. I think it's unnecessary. It's a fucking Halloween movie, man. It's a Halloween movie. Do that in another horror film, in my opinion. But anyway, that being said, what does the future of Halloween hold? What does the future of Halloween hold? I've said this before. There's a few different ways you can go. I do not want to see any prequels to this current timeline. I don't want to see a Dr. Loomis. That doesn't mean I wouldn't tune in to see what it was like. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't be great. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't, sit here going, holy fuck, this is really great. This is really interesting. I'm not saying that, but at face value, presented to me, is it something I want to see? No, because it's not necessary. It's not necessary. I don't want to see a Dr. Loomis story. Why? I don't want to see a Dr. Loomis story before Michael Myers. Why? Because I have always been under the impression that Dr. Loomis is a man of science, he's a psychiatrist, and he never saw anybody crazier than Michael Myers. Michael Myers defined him, and before Michael Myers, his job was pretty rudimentary. His job was pretty, paint by numbers. He was dealing with a lot of kids or whatever, but there was nothing supernatural. There was nothing like Michael Myers. The second you tell a backstory to Dr. Loomis, you're going to have to create crazy fucking characters that he meets that might end up being even more crazier and interesting than Michael Myers, which dilutes the mythology and the mystique of Michael Myers. So I've always been under the impression that he was a pretty regular doc until he came into contact with Michael and it changed his fucking life. I watched him for 15 years, sitting in a room, staring at a wall, not seeing the wall, looking past the wall, looking at this night, inhumanly patient. I met this 6-year-old child, this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. Do you think he was that kind of doctor before Michael? No, he spent 8 years trying to reach him. He spent 8 years being the doc he always was. And then he spent another 7 trying to keep him locked up because he realized, holy fuck, this is different. This is not like little Jimmy Bob show down the hall. This is not like little Susie Q, over there in the corner. This is very different. So I don't need to see Dr. Loomis getting up in the morning and kissing his wife and tying his shoes. And I don't want to see that. I don't need it. It's completely unnecessary. And I don't need to see a Michael Loomis story those 15 years. Does it mean I wouldn't tune in? Does it mean it would be shit? No, not at all. But I don't think we need to see it because I think the more we see of him in those 15 years, the mystique goes away. You dilute the mystique. We don't need it. We don't need it, I should say. Everything we need to know about Michael Myers, every single thing we need to know about Michael Myers is in that little paragraph there from Dr. Loomis. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized what was living behind that boy's was pure. The boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. What's the other thing he says too? He says something about most rudimentary sense of life or death, good or evil, right or wrong, all that part, like everything he says to bracket there. I usually know this off the top of my head. But that whole thing, right, all the way through is all you need to know. He tells you everything there is to know about Michael Myers. Everything we don't need to know. So I don't need to see a Loomis Michael story. I don't need to see a Loomis series with Dr. Loomis. I don't need to see it. I don't care. I don't think we need it at all. So I don't think we need to see anything with Michael Myers anymore. I think once Halloween ends, I think Michael Myers is done. And then wait 5-10 years, I don't know, and then reintroduce him to a new audience maybe. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Now there's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I think Halloween 3 Season of the Witch might very well be an interesting thing to tackle. And there's been speculation around Blumhouse that they've thought about that. That's come out recently. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm just saying that one of the producers on Halloween Kills says, "Oh yeah, no, we've thought about all those things too." You know what I mean? That's not an announcement. That's not him saying that it's happening. He's just saying that, yeah, like how you've thought about it, we've thought about those things too. Because it is ripe for that. Now, I didn't enjoy Halloween 3 Season of the Witch enough to say that I would be angry if they remade it. I think I'd be okay if they did. But I know there's a lot of people that would be angry about that and want a direct sequel. They could very well do a direct sequel. If they do a direct sequel to Halloween, to Season of the Witch, I have no doubt that it would more than likely follow the same sort of template as what they're doing with The Exorcist and what they've done with Halloween 18, which is it is a loose reboot. So now that doesn't mean that they're going to call it Season of the Witch, although they might, but they have to reintroduce the mythology to a new audience because it only had one movie. And just because you may love it and your horror fans may love it, the general movie-going audience, there's a lot of them out there that don't even know that movie fucking exists. So you have to remember that, okay? You got to go outside of your Halloween bubble, and then you got to go outside of your horror bubble. Okay. So I could see them trying to have the best of both worlds like they did with H-18. H-18 is a sequel, yes, but it's a soft reboot as well. And I could totally see them doing something like that with Season of the Witch. So it's a sequel, but it's also like a reboot as well. I could see them doing that. And then maybe it spawns another series. Maybe it spawns another 3 movies. I have no idea. I do think there is loads of potential with Season of the Witch, and not connected to Michael Myers, not connected to that kind of shit, not that at all, but really sort of, I do think there's some stuff that you could do there. Maybe you reach out to Tom Atkins. Maybe he wants to come back and reprise his role. I don't know. I mean, he's up there in age now, and I don't know how much he would do, or if he would just be sort of a, an honorary kind of like a cameo, or, maybe because the main characters in this new movie have to go and seek out, his character to, get all the knowledge of the past and all that kind of stuff or something. I could see that. But I'm down for either or. I'm down for a complete remake, 100%, totally brand new, 100%. And I'm also down for a sequel. And I have a feeling that once Halloween ends, that at the top of the list has to be Season of the Witch. It has to be. It has to be. That doesn't mean they're going to do it, but it's definitely got to be at the top of the list. I'm also open, as you guys know, to, looking at things that seem kind of inconsequential, but might be kind of fun to explore, like the old Charlie Bowles thing from the original Halloween, when Dr. Loomis is walking with the caretaker and he's like, I remember over in Russellville, old Charlie Bowles about 15 years ago, which would have been 1963, which places it in the same year as the shit that happened with Michael when he was 6, right? Now, he does say about 15 years ago, I think. Something like that. Maybe he says it exactly. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's interesting. He kissed his wife and his 2 children goodbye. And then he went out to the garage, grabbed himself a hacksaw, came back in, kissed his wife and his 2 children goodbye. And then he proceeded to, and we never know what he proceeded to do. Of course, that's the whole point of that was not to create some sort of thing that could be used later as another story. It was just a story that this guy was telling, and Loomis interrupts him. It's to show that Loomis doesn't really care about what he's talking about. He's so focused on the task at hand. He's like, where are we? He's like, oh yeah, over here. You know what I mean? But that is something, as funny as it sounds, it's something that you could do. It's this little seed that was planted in the 1978 original that maybe you think of, maybe you do that. Maybe you tell that story, and you could tell that story within the Michael Myers Halloween universe, because that story takes place in the same universe and in the same timeline universe as H-18 Kills and Ends, right? Because it's in the first movie. So that's something you could explore as well, and then you could have, like, as I've said many times, maybe you have one of the characters in Russellville, the Charlie Bowles story or something, have to drive to Haddonfield, or, maybe it's on the cusp of maybe they're looking at a newspaper and it says 6-year-old murders sister or something, just kind of a fun Easter egg to show you that it's connected to the same universe. That you could do as well. You could totally do that. Or you could create new shit. I mean, it's tough to say because Michael Myers is the brand. He's the brand. And although the word anthology is more acceptable today than it's ever been at any other time when it comes to movies, it's still tricky. Unless you're connecting it to the broader universe. Season of the Witch is going to be a tough sell unless it somehow, on some level, because fans like feeling like everything's connected. You know what I mean? Oh, it's connected. Thanks, Marvel. So it's going to be a tough sell otherwise. But those are some options that you can do. And maybe a series is in the future. Maybe a Halloween series of some kind, an anthology series that tells different creepy stories throughout the area. Russellville, Smith's Grove, Haddonfield. I mean, who knows, right? I've often said that Michael could just be one fucked up story that's happened in that area or at that time. And not that the other fucked up things are not connected to him. I'm just saying that, because I don't think they should be, but I just mean he's just an example of tons of crazy shit that happens out there, right? So I'll be very curious to see what they do. But I suspect the logical choice would be Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, because it's lower risk. It's not no risk, but it's lower risk because it already has a built-in fan base. It already has a following, and you could make a sequel or a reboot or a complete remake or whatever for, $10 million, and it's low risk. It's low risk. And like I said, it's already got a built-in fan base. So I think if I was a betting man, I would bet that it's not just possible, it's probable that they're going to turn their sights to Season of the Witch. That's what I think they're going to do, because it's already there. It's already there. You don't have to create something completely new, because Charlie Bulls, as much as Halloween fans, that's a deep cut, right? For the average fan, that's a deep cut. I could walk up to horror fans, not Halloween fans. I could walk up to horror fans and say, Charlie Bulls. And there's a lot of horror fans that would have no idea who the fuck I was talking about. You know what I mean? You go up to Halloween fans and they do, obviously. So Season of the Witch is just, it's lower risk, and I think that's what they're going to do. But I definitely hope that they let this go, the current timeline. I've said it before a lot. If you've been following me for any length of time, you've heard me say this. Maybe you're starting to see it already. What do I always say? The more sequels you make, the more opportunity there is to find yourself right back where you started. So if you're not happy with Halloween Kills, I'm telling you, I try to warn you guys, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm not saying that Kills is I'm just saying that, do we really want this to go on and on and on and on? Depends what you want. If you don't care about quality and you just want quantity and you just want to see Michael tear shit up and you don't give a fuck, well then yeah, you want it to go on and on and on. But if you're somebody like me who wants a good story and wants the movies to be good, then you better hope Ends is it. You better hope Ends is it. Because if they can fumble the ball a little bit like this with Kills, what does that mean for Ends and the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one? And come on, let's have some perspective here, right? So yeah, I think Ends should be it. Get out. It's over. You've told your story. Let's focus on something else. And I wouldn't mind seeing Season of the Witch. Like I said, I think that's what they're going to do, and I wouldn't mind seeing it. There's a lot, and it writes itself. The story is already there. You just have to adapt it for a new audience or write a sequel and take the mythology and update it and expand it and all that kind of stuff. So it's great. And you could make a movie like that today with like masks and putting them on and kids' faces melting and shit. Like, you could make a movie like that today. Pretty fucking terrifying. Pretty terrifying. And I wouldn't there's one thing I'll say. Do not update, 5 more days till Halloween, 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 5 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Use the original. Don't update it. Don't update it. Unless you figure out a way to update it, it sounds really good. But I would use the original. Bum, 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 bum. That's what I would do. But that's me. The studios may want to update it. We got to update it for a new audience. Okay. All right. Well, whatever. But I'm down for it. The question is, though, folks, are you down for it? If you're watching me live or if you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know your thoughts on what you want to see from Halloween Ends. Are you like me, where it's like, well, I want to see this, this, and this, but in terms of story, I'm not sure yet. Like, there's so many different ways that we could go here, and I'm not quite sure which way I feel they're going to and which way I want to see, because I'm a very nuanced person. Okay, I look at things with grains of salt and nuance and all that kind of stuff. And, I am mature enough to recognize that just because David Gordon Green has said that they're going to take advantage of a post-pandemic world or COVID or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's going to be all about COVID. I mean, I understand that. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but I don't know what it means. And I didn't enjoy Halloween Kills enough to just kind of be, oh, cool. Well, I'm excited about this. I'm kind of like, oh God, well, okay. What does it mean? So it's still marinating with me. I'm still thinking about it, but definitely more Andy Matichak, more Lindsay, more Will Patton, and Halloween Ends on a philosophical note that's smart and mature and that leaves the audience going, what the fuck? Like a real, like, oh, very mysterious, very mysterious. And I do think, I forgot to say this earlier, I do think Laurie Strode and Michael Myers should die together. I want to see Laurie Strode and Michael Myers die together. That's what I want to see. Laurie Strode and Michael Myers die together. Is that because I had them die together in my Halloween sequel concept idea video? Well, yes, but the reason why I had them die in my sequel concept idea video is because it brings it full circle, right? It's the poetry. It began with them. It should end with them, right? It's about fate. Go back to that, even though the classroom scene in the original Halloween was talking about fate within that 90-minute movie in and of itself, because Laurie has an arc in that film. You can now extend that to and you should obviously be extending that to encompass all 4 films now. And yes, I do think in my sequel idea, Laurie and Michael die in a big fire in Judith Meyer's bedroom. It's the symbolism of that and them going down together. Laurie, I think Michael was on fire or something, and Laurie jumps on his back, and it's this huge thing, and he's swinging around on fire, and I think Tommy and Lindsay were running out of the house or something, and there were people on the street watching the Myers house burn, and they're like, "Oh my God, get Laurie!" And they're trying to get her, but she's but she's sacrificing herself. She sacrificed herself because she knew she was the only one. She knew she was the only one. Now, obviously, could they do that exact thing here? Well, no, not necessarily. It depends if it fit the story, right? It depends if it fits the story. But in my story, that's what it ended up being, was she sacrifices herself to save her family, which was Karen and Allison in my sequel. Obviously, in this, in the official version, Karen's dead. But that's because it began with them, it should end with them. And I think that would be satisfying. I think that would be, for me, it would. So, yeah. Anyway, but like I said, comment below and let me know your thoughts. What do you want to see? Are you like me, or what is it? I want to know. And tell me, where do you want the Halloween series to go? Where do you want the Halloween series to go after Ends? Do you want another movie with James Jude Courtney? If you do, you better go to the box office 400 times, because if it makes bank, they'll probably make another one. But is that what you want? Or are you like me, where you're kind of like, nah, I mean, listen, I love Michael, don't get me wrong, but I like when stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I think we should end it and kind of put it over there, and, it's tidy, it's nice, it's neat. Maybe you're like me in that regard. Comment below and let me know. Let's go over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying about this. Let me go over now to the YouTube studio so I can get your super chats. Just give me 1 second here, ladies and gents. Where are we here? Monetization, super, there we go. Okay, bear with me here while I get these super chats. A few of them did come in. Chris Parrish sends in $9.99. Thank you, buddy. How would you feel about a Loomis series pre-Michael? Oh, I just talked about that. I think I'd like it as long as Michael was never mentioned. Loomis early years as an understudy, kind of a Mindhunter-like series. Yeah, I mean, listen, dude, could you do that? Of course you could. Would it be interesting? Maybe it would be. I just don't think there should be anything that is more interesting than Michael Myers. I've always seen that Michael Myers was the moment. I mean, you have to remember that when Dr. Loomis is saying his speech to Brackett, Loomis is a man of science. Loomis is a psychiatrist who can prescribe medication. Okay? He's a man of science. And he is spewing shit to Brackett that is not science at all. He's talking about the devil. He's talking about the blackest eyes. The way he's talking is like, this is a guy that has changed his tune. He knows there's more going on than meets the eye. And that's amazing. We can't have a character. I mean, what other character would Loomis ever come across that would be, I just don't want to see it. I don't think it's necessary, but that's me. But that doesn't mean you couldn't do it and it wouldn't be a great series, right? That's not what I'm saying. I just don't need to see it. But he's a man of science that changed his fucking tune. That's scary. That's scary if you think about it. That's really, really scary. Okay, must be Matt. It must be Matt. Sends in $4.99. Thank you, buddy. Says, enjoying a Dave's single while watching Dave McRae. Perfect Friday, laugh my ass off. Dave single, what's that? Is that like a candy bar or something? Maybe it's something we don't have here in Canada. I'm not sure. But awesome. That's awesome stuff. Pride Sayan sends in 10. I'm not sure what the currency is there, but thank you very much. Says, hi Dave, how about this? Was Karen's death a recreation of Judith's? The stabbing, even Karen's reaction is kind of similar. Maybe a shot-by-shot intro like 78's Halloween, but Karen is the victim now. I don't know what they were going for when it comes to Karen's death. There's a variety of things they could be going for. Karen looks up at the window and sees 6-year-old Michael standing at the window. Did she really see him standing there? Or is that just the use of cinematic language for the audience, right? If we were Karen and we were in her shoes looking up at the window, maybe she didn't see him. Maybe she just got a feeling in reality. And therefore she walked into the house and walked up to the bedroom because she just had this feeling, this calling that she needed to go there. She doesn't know why, but she did. But in reality, she didn't really see 6-year-old Michael. That's just for us, the audience, to communicate to the audience that what she is feeling or, whatever, right? It could be that too. So it's important that at this point in the game, we don't necessarily take it literally. It just could be a terrific use of cinematic language. However, maybe it is literal, and maybe she had a vision of some kind, which is strange. I find that strange. I don't know how you'd explain that, whether you need to explain it, I'm not sure, but it is a little strange if you ask me. But maybe she did. And what that means, I don't know. Some people have speculated that it was all a dream. How did Michael get there so fast? And I don't believe that for 1 second. I do think that Michael was there. I do think that he killed her, and she's dead. At least I hope so. Not because I was never really crazy on the Karen character, but because I think it brings bottom and emotional weight to the rest of the story. It's you need that there. The stakes are much higher now. I didn't like the way that Karen's death was shot. It was a little too stylized for me. It just didn't work for me. If it worked for you, that's great. That's fine. It just didn't work for me. I would have shot it a bit differently. I think maybe I would have shot it, although this might be a little too stylized too, where you're kind of pulling back from the Myers house and you see the death happening in the window. You see him stabbing her in the window, but everybody else in the front lawn's not paying attention because, you got the sirens and the 2414, 2117, because, there's commotion and there's people, whatever. And you just see this stabbing in the window and it's like, oh shit. That might be a little campy though, because you would think you would have heard her screams or, having it shot and cut the way it was adds a sense of commotion, a sense of confusion. We don't know whether the people downstairs actually heard her or not. We might find that out at the beginning of Ends. So yeah, there's definitely symbolism happening within Karen's moment there at the end. There is. I'm just not quite sure what yet. And maybe it's because it was never meant to be that way. There was a different ending. There was a different ending. And maybe the reason why it feels kind of confusing is because it is. Because, there was more to it. And they cut it short and we'll just cut it here. And then, we'll cut on and it's like, well, but this seems kind of weird. Anyway, we'll see though, man. We'll see. I don't know for sure, but, a shot by shot, a 78. Yeah. That might've been interesting. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Like POV. That might've been interesting. But then if they did that, then they would be really committing to you thinking there is a connection between Judith and this moment other than the fact that they're just in her bedroom. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe the filmmakers didn't want to execute it that way because it's too on the nose. They didn't want you to think there was anything more to it than what they presented to you. That's entirely possible as well. But cool shot though, for sure. Yeah. Oscar Rodriguez sends in $5, says maybe they could do Charlie Bowles. I was just talking about that. The folk tale, the grave keeper tells Loomis as they walk to Judith's grave, who kills his family with a hacksaw. I know. I'm telling you, man. That might be kind of cool. Jesus Freak Bobby Reeves sends in $1.99, says, for the channel, keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Jesus. Appreciate that. Thank you. And hope things are going fine over there in Heaven Land. Oscar Rodriguez sends in another, sends in $2, says, how about a film noir take on Halloween? Yeah, I mean, sure. I think that might be interesting. Maybe like a serious, more of a serious take, like a psychological thriller, like Seven or something. That might be interesting. Ooh, that might be interesting. Michael Peacock sends in a $9.99, says, a twist I thought of in Loomis journals that Michael was a patient prior to the Halloween events. Loomis attempted to cure Michael with hypnosis, unintentionally creating the boogeyman. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if that'll go over well with fans. And also you have to think he says, I met him 15 years ago, but he didn't say I met him, in November. I mean, maybe he met him in April. Maybe he met him in February. There's a little bit of wiggle room there that you could apply your logic to. I don't think I would do that, but certainly I could see that, I could see that being a fun sandbox to play in. I don't think it's necessary, but, I get it. I see what you're selling. I smell what The Rock is cooking. Pray in Sinaz? Am I saying that right? I don't know if I am, but you know who you are. 05, thank you very much. I don't have my glasses again. I always leave them out in the other room. $9.99, thank you, buddy. Says, I've been a fan since Grocery Store Rant. Oh, that's a deep cut, man. In Kills, did you get the impression that Green and company were trying to make Laurie seem like she was upset when she found out it wasn't just all about her? I don't know if I got the impression that they were trying to create the impression that she was upset. I think what it is this, yes, maybe. And we'll probably find out more about this in Halloween Ends. Laurie has essentially her entire life. Now remember, all the other sequels don't exist. So we got to put those out of our heads as best we can right now. Just the first one exists. First movie. It is very clear in H18 that Laurie, this has become her identity. So, it's all she cares about. It's her identity. It's affected her children. It's affected her children's relationship with her grandchildren, or her grandchild, I guess I should say. Her child and her grandchild, because I don't know if she has any more kids. It's her identity. She's been waiting for this moment. She's been obsessed. She's been obsessed about Michael Myers. It's become part of her identity. She's the crazy lady that lives down the street. She's been preparing and creating this fucking fortress in her house and teaching her kid all these things. And her kid has to live in the shadow. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's part of her identity. It's part of her identity. And she's now over 60 years old. And Will Patton comes along and just destroys that. Now, whether Laurie believes him fully or not, I don't know. I mean, we'll probably find that out in the next movie. Yes, she does appear taken back. I mean, she looks over her shoulder like this, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just think of how difficult that would be if this was real life. Your whole identity is surrounded by the fact that you think Michael gives a shit about you, and he never did. He never did. He didn't think about you when he was incarcerated. That's not why he broke out. He didn't care. You were just there. You were just there. He didn't care about you at all. He wasn't going after you. It was Dr. Sartain that practically led him there, right? So yeah, I can certainly see that being very upsetting and affecting her emotionally. And who is she then? If Laurie, because, she may not, and people may not realize this consciously, but when this does happen to you, and it happens to people in real life, it's the kind of thing where if you're not the girl obsessed with if she's not the woman obsessed with Michael trying to protect everybody and preparing, then who is she? Who is she? She's nobody. She's nobody. And now, even though Michael, if there's one thing he's not responsible for, it is this. Even though he's not responsible for this, it's just another thing Michael, indirectly, from a certain point of view, has taken away from Laurie Strode. Oh, you think I care about you? Oh, shit. You've been obsessing over me for 40 years? Girl, you're a fucking loser. You're a loser. Look at you. I don't care about you. I haven't even thought about you. I don't even know who you are. I had to tilt my head like 3 times in this movie to look at you to make sure that oh, you're that bitch? Oh, I don't care about you. Oh my God, what a waste of life. You wasted your fucking life. You could have gone on and been somebody, man. You could have gone on and done something with your life. You could have been someone. You could have moved away. You were free to move away. I wasn't thinking about you. You could have moved. Do you know what I mean? But it goes to show you how serious the PTSD side is and how, it's the emotional trauma and weight, and to find out that it wasn't about you from the beginning is she's lost who she is. She's lost who she is. So yes, I have to watch the movie again to really pay attention to how she's reacting in that scene. But I do remember her being perplexed, confused, kind of like, what are you talking about? Now how quickly she accepts it, I have no idea. If you want to jump 4 years into the future, well, then you don't really need to show her going through a period of accepting, because you can just show her accepting it because you fast forward 4 years. But yeah, dude, for sure. A lot of that really does exist. Okay, here, let me see. I got that. AK Channel TV sends in $5, says, in Kills, to some extent, I disagree that it was never about Laurie to Michael. In 78, there was something about her that made him stalk and prize her. Sure, but it wasn't personal. And I think that's what we have to understand is that, when we talk about Michael not having a motive, we're talking about it being premeditated. We're talking about something that would hold up in a court of law. And saying that, evil did it, sir. Evil made him. That's not a motive. She didn't owe him money. She didn't rub him the wrong way. You could make the argument, and Deborah Hill make the argument that, yeah, maybe Laurie reminded him of Judith, maybe. Sure, okay, all right. But that's not, I don't believe that is strong enough to suggest that he would be obsessing about her, because for the vast majority of the movie, he wasn't obsessing about her. He was over at the Wallace house. He was obsessing over Annie, and then he killed Annie, and then he killed Bob, and then he killed Linda. And what if Laurie had not walked over to the house? Now, I'm not saying that he still wouldn't have been after Laurie. He was, again, I'm being a sweaty, nerdy fan here that is just speculating. But I'm saying maybe that tombstone and Annie's body in the closet and all that or on the bed, and Linda and Bob in the closet, maybe that wasn't for Laurie after all. Maybe that was for the cops. He was like, I'm just going to put this here. And Laurie just happened to show up. It's not like Michael called Laurie on the phone and went, come to my house, or started making like weird waving signs over there. Come on over, and starting turning on the lights off and on, off and on, off and on, off and on. He did do that once, by the way. But you know what I'm saying though, right? Like, who knows what would have happened? I'm thinking about this far too deeply, but it is very apparent that in Halloween, he was after everybody. Right? He followed Laurie, but he followed Annie. He watched, when like Laurie got out of the car and went into the Doyle house. Why didn't he go after Laurie first? It's not like Annie took off down the road. Annie just dropped off Laurie, then turned left and pulled into the parking lot of the Wallace house. But it was her he went after first. Well, if he was after Laurie the whole time, why didn't he go after her first? She's right there. Why wasn't he hiding behind the tree and watching Laurie walk into the Doyle house instead of watching Annie walk into the Wallace house? Now, in reality, it's because that's the way it was fucking written. And you're thinking far too deeply about this, you fucking sweaty nerd. Because I wrote it that way. That's what John Carpenter would say. But when you want to speculate and you want to have some fun, those are things you have to think about too, right? So yeah, no, I don't believe that. I believe it's very probable and highly possible that he would not know who wouldn't even remember her. Now maybe he recognizes her a little bit, in H18, he recognizes her, but he doesn't care about her. I don't think he cares about her. Not at all. That's my opinion, though. Okay, I got that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And then Prayin Sinaz 05 $4.99 says, personal request. Would you ever do a rant on how soft and hypocritical our society is today? I'd love to hear your thoughts, bro. Well, probably not. Like, you mean in general of society? Probably not. Because it's not really sort of the target demographic of my audience. I mean, I can do it on like fandom and things like that, but I usually do that in every show. I've done it here today on this show, but not in general. Probably not. No. Tyler Davis sends in $5 and says, maybe Michael is locked up again, and due to COVID, there's some sort of separation amongst inmates or procedure in the facility that leads to escape. There you go. There's an intelligent thing. I like the way you're thinking there. You hear that, folks? Hear what Tyler Davis said? I like that. That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Go Grand Guru sends in $9.99, says, I like the idea of cult in curse. Oh, God, no. But with a twist, 4 years to digest, people supporting this boogeyman with blogs, merch, etc. Stuff like this happens in the real world, could work if executed right. Well, that part, yes. I mean, certainly, yes, there is an obsession over serial killers. There is an obsession. I mean, listen, there are women out there that wanted to marry Charles Manson and all sorts of people that, I mean, I even think, what's his face? The guy that murdered his wife and his 2 kids there. I forget his name now. I think he even has, and there's a psychological term for this. There's actual thing, but there are women out there that get infatuated with serial killers in prison and write to them wanting to be their girl. It's insane. There's a lot of shit that you could do, real world stuff taken from that. Yeah, with like the internet and merchandise and all that stuff. For sure you could. Yep. And maybe they'll do that. Maybe that will be part of sort of what they bring into it. I'm not entirely sure. But no cult stuff. Fuck that shit. Jesus Frank Bobby Reeves sends in $4.99 and says, Michael is a great white shark in baggy ass overalls. Oh, Buster Rhymes. Well, he's right about one thing. He is a great white shark. He's a predator. It's actually a good analogy if it just wasn't said from him. And the baggy ass overalls. It kind of ruins it. I love how you put the dollar signs for the 2 S's. Joe Smidjon Jr. $5. Thank you, buddy. Says, what if they do it as if H18 and Kills was all in Laurie's mind, sitting in the car watching the bus with Michael leave Smith's Grove? I think you would piss a lot of people off. The whole dream thing, I don't know. But hey, you know what? I'm open to it. Why the fuck not? The series couldn't get any worse after, a lot of the other sequels, so why not? I don't think they're going to do that, though. Brandon Orlowski sends in $1.99. Orlowski, I believe, is it. I think Hawkins becomes sheriff by Ends. You, Dave? Maybe. Yeah, maybe Barker kicks the bucket in Ends. He gets killed by Myers, then Hawkins becomes... I don't know if Hawkins would take on that role. Maybe. I don't think he will. I think he'll retire. I think Hawkins will retire. I think by the end of Halloween Ends, Hawkins will retire. But I still hope Laurie dies. Prayin Sin as 05, $9.99. In these new films, they have no scenes on the shape stalking in the background, a fundamental trait of Myers. Just 1 or 2 scenes of racking focus on the characters while Myers lurks in the shadows. Stalking in the background. Well, it depends what you mean. Do you mean like walking around in the background? I mean, there's the scene in H18 where he's watching Oscar just moments before the motion sensor thing. That was a good moment. But you are correct. There isn't a lot of that in these movies. You are right. That is one of the things that I miss. Is more of the lurking, the stalking, the suspense. For sure. Song Fans 4.99 says, Hey, Dave, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Let me try that again. Good afternoon to you. I was going to say to you too, and then I stopped. Just wondering. Nick Castle is casted as Michael in H Kills, but when do we see him? Well, one of my sources who is connected to all that goes on Halloween has said that Nick Castle's cameo was cut. Nick Castle's cameo was cut, unfortunately, from Halloween Kills. It was to be in the bathroom at the couple's house, the couple with the drone. That's where it was to be, but it was unfortunately cut. But it will be on the Blu-ray. It apparently will be on the Blu-ray, so you'll be able to see his cameo there. But he was credited still in the credits because he did all of the breathing. So all the breathing you hear of The Shape is Nick Castle. And this is I trust this source because they are very connected. So no reason not to buy it. So that's why. So look for the Blu-ray when it comes out in the 4K. Let me go back here. Some others did come in. Okay, a very generous super chat. Very generous super chat comes in from 78 Shades of Shade. I love it. $20. Thanks, buddy. I would like to see a Michael versus Jason movie or TV series next, but I'd like it to be well written, have great acting, great kills, amazing cinematography, fantastic score, and set in the early 90s or late 80s. Well, buddy, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I could not disagree with you more in the sense of I do not want to see a Michael crossover with anybody. I am not a fan of crossovers. I mean, they're fun in like fan film kind of stuff, sure. But in any time of in any sort of official fashion, I should say, I'm talking out of my mouth. Of course, I'm talking out of my mouth. I meant flubbing out of my mouth today. I don't care about that kind of stuff. So that stuff doesn't do much for me. But certainly, if that's what you want, man, I mean, hey, you never know. Crazier things have happened. It's not something I particularly care about, though. But yes, I mean, don't we all want a good movie that's well written, well shot with great kills and acting? I think we do. Luis Nunez sends in $4.99, says, will Michael have a new mask and ends? Ooh. Again, it depends on what's his character been doing for 4 years. If his character has been MIA for 4 years and he's just walked off into the ether and nobody knows where he is and he suddenly returns, and I'm going to say no, but I am going to say that I think what Christopher Nelson and team are going to do is they're going to start to deteriorate more of the mask on the other side just to show a progression of age. And if he has to wear that thing for 4 years, that's going to be a lot of sweat. There's going to be a lot of deterioration on that mask. So I'm going to say no, but if he's caught, I'm going to say there could be a chance where there's no mask. And what they do, instead of him having a mask, what they do is they always present him out of focus. You know what I mean? That's something they might be thinking of too as a creative decision. Who knows? Andrew Stevens, my man, sends in $10. Thank you very much, Andrew. I really appreciate that. By the way, I was looking at your tracking today, Andrew, and it said, let me just see here. I actually have this up because I was checking out the tracking, and it says it's out for delivery. It says it tried to deliver to my P.O. box this morning, but they tried at 6:45 a.m. And why on earth they tried at 6:45 a.m., I have no idea, since the P.O. Box post office area doesn't open till 9. It's government. Come on, no government shit opens till 9. What the fuck is... Why would you even attempt at 6:45 in the morning? I have no idea. So it just says it's still in transit. So hopefully maybe they'll try again tomorrow, or... I don't know. We'll see. But I'm very excited, man. I want to get this shit. I'm excited. Okay, just trying to get the super chats here. A lot of them have come in. You guys are awesome. Justin Goodrich sends in $5, says, would you ever consider watching my cut of H6? I cut 15 minutes of Thorn Cult gore and one-liners to make it more like the OG, just for fun, of course. I appreciate you sending that super chat in. I appreciate you doing that. The reason why I'm going to say no is not because I don't want to. It's because I've learned very early on in the world of YouTube that when you start to gain a bit of a following, people start asking you to read their scripts, to watch their videos for tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. And very early on, I remember I had agreed to read somebody's script. And then I only read half of it because I was just too busy. And then once that got out, I started to get inundated with requests and can you do this? Can you read this? Can you read this? So I'm going to politely decline, not because it's personal, okay? But because if I start, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be, well, if you did that with him, why can't you watch my fan trailer? Why can't you watch my this? Now that's how I am. If somebody else is different, that's fair. That's fair. That's totally fair. However, throw it in the chat. if you want to link it, if it's on YouTube, throw it in the chat. Okay, so it's there. But I can't make any promises. I'll just say that. I can't make any promises. Throw it in the chat so others can see it if they want to. And if I get around to it, I get around to it, but I can't make any promises. I just don't want to set unrealistic expectations. I always try to be honest and open with everybody. It's not personal. It's not personal at all. Not personal. It's just once it starts, you know what I mean? So, but by all means, throw the link in the chat, man. I think that's really cool. Throw it in the chat, and we'll see if I have some time to get to it. The Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast sends in 449. Says, Dave, I've seen Kills 27 times. It sucks. 27 times. 27! I don't know who these people are that can go to the movie theater and watch a movie and he's probably seen it more. I made a tweet the other day where I said that a guy had sent me a DM saying that, and this was like Monday or Tuesday, saying that he had seen Halloween Kills in the theater 8 times. Listen, I don't want to shit on anybody's fandom. You are who you are, and if you are somebody that has watched a movie 20 times in the movie theater, knock yourself out. I just don't understand it. The most I've ever seen a movie in the theater at once during a theatrical run is 3 times. A movie that I really like, I've seen 3 times. But like 3 times over like 3 weeks or something. I don't understand. It's a different level of fandom. It's a different level of obsession I can't quite wrap my mind around. Watching a movie, and adults too. Like, I mean, I can understand listen, when I was a young boy growing up in the 1980s, I would watch movies over and over again on my VCR in the basement on a TV this big. I'd watch The Goonies and Star Wars and Back to the Future, and I would have it on repeat as I was playing with my toys. Sure, because I'm 7. You know what I mean? But I can't understand these grown men who go out there, and all power to you. I'm not trying to throw shade at you. I'm just, it's crazy. It's like, holy shit. Like, I just don't understand how you can go to the theater to watch a movie. I mean, somebody once told me they saw The Dark Knight in the movie theater 17 times. And I'm like, 17 times? I'm like, aren't you bored by the 4th time? Aren't you exhausted? I mean, I just don't understand that level. That's a level of fandom I do not possess. It is a level of fandom I do not understand. But all power to you. Darren, of course, is being sarcastic about the 27 times. Although maybe not. No, he is. Where to go? Dar Fitness sends in $5, says, I'm still confused by the ending of Kills. So cryptic. Is Karen dead? Where did Michael come from? I hope Ends truly ends it. Michael has a shelf life. I could not agree more with everything you've said. I don't think it's as cryptic as it's being led to believe, or we're led to believe. I think it feels more cryptic because they shortened the ending. There was more to it. They essentially cut it short. Because they wanted it to end at a certain beat. They wanted Halloween Kills to end on a certain beat because they've changed what Halloween Ends is. So they needed to do that in order for Ends now to make more sense. Whether that was the right thing to do, whether that was, if it's going to feel weird, I don't know yet. I have no idea. I mean, that wasn't the original intention, so I don't know. They apparently have confidence in this. They have confidence, but I don't know what's going to go on. So, but I don't think it's as cryptic as we're being led to believe. I think Karen is dead. I think he's dead. And I think he just showed up behind her because he's the boogeyman. He's the shape. And that's what he does. That's what he does. He probably went through the back door, Mr. Bates sends in $9.99. Thank you, Mr. Bates. Says 2 questions, Dave. How would you feel about Michael getting captured at the end of Kills and H ends taking place in Smith's Grove with Laurie breaking to kill him? And do you have plans on Halloween? Well, first of all, I love your idea because I actually have speculated and riffed on that exact thing on this channel many times before. Actually, I believe... No, it wasn't the same. My original idea for Halloween 5 was not quite the same, although it did end up taking place at Smith's Grove or a place like it because Jamie was in the mental asylum. And I kept her there. I kept Rachel alive. Nobody knew where Michael was. And I built on the relationship between Rachel and Jamie, which was established in 4. I did not kill off Rachel. And weird and unusual things begin to happen. It's obviously because of Michael, but people are blaming the child, Jamie. They think the town is now cursed because of Jamie and that bad things are happening they want to kill Jamie, but then Michael ends up finding his way to the mental asylum and shit goes down to the mental asylum during a thunderstorm, I think, and all that kind of stuff. So, it's not quite your idea, but similar kind of thing, right? Like happening at the asylum. And I'm all for something like that. I actually think that might be kind of cool. That might be kind of cool, dude. Yeah. And plans on Halloween? Well, on Halloween night, which is not this Sunday, but the following one, Tony, Michael, and I are doing a special Halloween 2 Dudes and Some Bullshit where we are watching Halloween Kills. So you're going to want to tune in for that one. Our shows are usually Monday nights at 6 p.m., but since Halloween is Sunday night, we're going to have it on Sunday night. This Monday night at 6 p.m. on 2 Dudes and Some Bullshit, we're watching John Carpenter's original, of course, so make sure you tune into that. It's praying. I always got praying or pray. It's either praying or pray it or pray in. Anyway, you again. But, it's called Praying Sinners. Oh, Praying Sinner. Oh, I see. So it's Praying Sinners. Praying Sinners. I get it. I can see it now. I can see it. I get you. All right. Praying Sinners 05. Praying Sinners 05. I love it. In Kills, when Laurie says, go get him, Tommy, notice how he do clownishly rushed out of the room. Dude, that was one of the moments in that movie that was cringe. Go get him, Tommy. The way she delivered the line was cringe. The way there was like, it got all quiet all of a sudden, and he's like, okay. It felt awkward. I don't know if anybody else felt it, but it felt incredibly awkward to me. That did feel awkward. Nick Jean sends in $1.99. Thank you, buddy. Juan Rivera sends in $20. Thank you, Juan. Says, after all the shit fed movies us Halloween horror fans have endured, can we appreciate what Blumhouse has done? HK18 are masterpieces compared to what we had before they came along. Slasher films were on its last heartbeat. Listen, I do not agree that they are masterpieces. It depends what the measuring stick is. Certainly, are they better made movies than Resurrection? Yes. Halloween 5? Yes. Halloween H2O, in my opinion? Yes. I think Halloween 18, I think there is an argument to be made that Halloween 18 is arguably one of the better Halloween sequels of all time. 100%. No question. I think it's better than 5. I think it's better than 6. I think it's better than H2O. I think it's better than Resurrection. I think it's better than both Rob Zombie films. H Kills is a tricky one for me because there's a messy part of that movie. And so I do not share the same thoughts that Kills and H-Teen are both masterpieces. However, having said that, is it always great to have a Halloween movie? Absolutely. That's why I sent out a tweet a few days ago with the picture of the crew to Halloween Kills. And I said, regardless of whether you like the movie or not, let's tip our hats to the crew of Halloween Kills because making movies is extremely difficult. I know this firsthand. I've never made a Hollywood film before, obviously, but I've spent over 20 years working in the business, mostly on the voiceover side of things, obviously, but I know a lot of filmmakers. I've been on set. I just made a film myself. So, making movies is tough. It's not easy. It is not easy at all. So that's why, I agree with what you're saying. Let's tip our hats and say thank you to the principle of it all. But both things can be true at the same time. You can appreciate what's being done, but you can also, you don't have to like what you don't like, and you have to be honest with yourself and you have to be honest with your friends and I'm always going to be honest with you. I didn't hate Halloween Kills, but I like Halloween 18 better. I mean, I love the flashback in Kills. I think the movie is strong. The first 20 minutes of that movie is like, holy shit, what are we going to get here? Wow. And then it just kind of comes down for me in terms of dialogue, pacing, structure, script, that kind of stuff. The Michael stuff looks great, but it's that hospital chunk, right? Whereas H18 is just more consistent. It's just more consistent. It's just a better made movie overall. So, but I get the principle of what you're saying. And I do think I do agree with you. Nick Jean sends in $4.99, says, "Hey Dave, thanks for all the content and for turning me on to the guys at Slaughtered Lamb. Always a great laugh from you." Thank you very much, Nick. And yeah, if you guys have not checked out the Slaughtered Lamb movie podcast, please do check them out. I've been on a couple of their shows. Absolutely hilarious. Frank or Darren, if you're still watching, pop that link to your channel in the chat. They're going tonight. I think they're doing their best and worst of Halloween Kills, I think, or something like that. Great channel. They are two of my moderators here, and I think they're just over 800 subs right now. They're on their way to 1,000. I want to see if we can get them to 1,000 by the end of the year. It's less than 200 more. Really awesome stuff. Great chemistry, a lot of fun, and they do a lot of cool shit over there. Talk about a lot of movies that people are not generally talking about. So really, really cool. Really, really, really cool. Let's see here. Let me see here. What else we got? We got trying to get all the super chats. Did I get all the super chats? I think I may have got all the super chats. Let me see. Oh, where's the other? Oh, no, hang on. I got to go back. Oh, I see. Did I have to? No, wait, where? There we are. There we are. I think I did. Nick Jean, I think, was the last one that came in, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. Yes, I think I did. Yes. I got them all, ladies and gentlemen. I got them all. And Darren is popping it in there. Great. Yes. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Head over there and subscribe to them and check them out because it's great stuff. It's great stuff. All right. Now, how long have I been on here? I think I've been on for quite a while. I've been on for 1 hour and 41 minutes. I think that's probably about as long as Halloween Kills, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, Juan Rivera sends another one in the paint, right under the paint. And he says, only one man can kill the boogeyman, and that is Ben Tramer. I will save the past love, Laurie, and event. He will save the past, his past love, Laurie, and avenge his daughter's death. Oh, so you think that Ben Tramer is the father of Karen? Well, maybe. You never know. But I tend to think that, no, it's going to be, it probably will end up being Hawkins, even though I think it's unnecessary. But I do think it probably will end up being Hawkins. But yeah, all right. Let me see. A lot of super chats came in today. You guys are awesome. Great work as always. And that is going to do it for me. So thank you to my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber. You guys are amazing. Thank you to all the super chat questions that came in today. I'm sorry I couldn't get to a lot of the non-super chat ones, but when the super chats come in at the volume they do, they obviously take priority for obvious reasons. If you're watching after the fact, if you've stuck around this long, how many do we have still watching here? We still have 363 watching. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on what you want to see from Halloween Ends. And let me know your thoughts on where you want the Halloween franchise to go after Halloween Ends. I would really like to know. That'll do it for me. You'll see me again probably Monday night on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. In the meantime and in between time, have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.